Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin LaVore and
Michelle LaVore
coming at ya.
So first, before we start and get into what God's been doing in the last day and a half, really, we just wanted to say welcome to all of our new subscribers, and we're just really excited that you found us, and
Pray
we also
we would be a blessing to you.
and we just wanted to let you and everyone know again that we do have a Facebook page. It's on Devin LaVore.
It's really my Facebook page.
It's really his Facebook page.
She's going to get her own someday, you know.
But just so you know that Devin has recently, God's been having him put some words out onto
Some prophetic words
onto
Facebook.
His page. So we just wanted to encourage you guys.
Link is below.
Yeah.
Click on the show more on the description box and you'll get to see all that stuff down there. And just click on the Facebook link and then go and then check out the page.
Yeah, and I think too, it's also sometimes Devin will just kind of update with like when a video might be coming out if it's been a little while. So just, be sure to get on there so you can stay up to date with what we're doing.
Not only that, but God gives me these cool graphic design ideas that I put on my Facebook that I just can't put on YouTube. It would just be weird. Because it's not really a video, it's a picture with like a little encouragement word or something like that. So
we just wanted to kind of let you guys know what we're doing, and pretty much we're just sharing what God is doing in our life, and we've been on like an intense journey with God for the last basically 6 months, and around May is when we started, June is when you started God was giving you prophetic words and started really sharing
May 15th
our journey.
is when this channel really just kind of took off. I started giving God started moving through prophetic words with me, and then in August, God kind of amped things up and gave me that word about the 8 prophetic P's, and in September, that's when God brought us together, and he was like, you're not doing those single by yourself videos anymore. Not for a while. Not until he might change and split us off, and you can do a YouTube channel about girl stuff and mom stuff and whatnot. So one of the things that the Lord's been doing with us that he's introduced us to is numbers. Now at first, as some of you already know, it was kind of weird for me. And I was kind of happy that God was doing this numbers thing and that he had not shown us any 6s. And I was like, see, the number 6 is terrible. And then the Lord had to say, hey, hold on a second. Let me talk to you about the number 6.
Yeah.
Kind of like the way he did with the number 13 with us, saying it's really a love number. And recently we've discovered that's like the number 13 and the number 6 have been hijacked by the enemy.
Yeah, really.
You know, just because the Bible, it says 666, and it's just like everyone's like, and I'm no exception.
Yeah.
Because when was it? Today is the 16th, right? So what was it, yesterday? 15th, and the evening of the 14th. I was getting 666. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, as I'm sure you can imagine, it freaked me out. Because it did. But at the same time, I had to recognize, like, wait a minute. I feel like this is the Lord highlighting this. So whatever it is he's going to have to show me about it, I'm okay going into it. Because, see, you talked about the dark parts of God's heart and the dark things.
Yeah.
And I think that I took that to mean like God was saying, like, these are the areas that no one ever explores about me.
Yeah.
No one ever goes into. That's why they're dark. It's not like God's heart is dark. It's that no one knows this stuff. No one wants to know this stuff. They're afraid to go there. So there's a darkness. There's a not knowing. Yeah. Which is what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's more of like just, the not knowing. It's covered up. So if something's covered up, it's dark
in there.
Inside.
Yeah.
But once you expose it and it comes out to the light, it's like, oh, this is awesome. This is wonderful.
Yeah, because one of my videos had 666 on it.
Yeah.
That was a while ago. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh Lord, are you saying something to me? And I felt like the Lord was like, no, I'm not saying anything to you with that. He should have said yet.
Yeah.
Because what was it? I think it was on Thursday night. Was it Thursday night? I can't remember. The night of the 14th, whenever that was. I got to 666 subscribers. Yeah. And I was getting ready to get on Facebook and be like, I need another subscriber now.
Yeah.
Somebody subscribe to my channel, please. Yeah. It's a cursed channel now, And the Lord, I felt like the Lord was just kind of laughing at me, like, no.
Yeah.
And then one of my videos hit 666. It was the last video, the second to last video that we put up. Like, I guess by the time this comes out, it'll be 2 videos before this one.
Yeah.
It reached 666 views. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that was the point where I realized, like, man, I think the Lord is speaking to me. Because by that time, I had seen 66.
Yeah, we had
like
been
2 or 3 different times.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm just like, okay, the Lord is saying something about the 6s. So we got in and I studied a little bit of it. And I was just like, and what I discovered was just like, 6 is really another number that represents like the love of God, Mm-hmm. And just like 13 represents the love of God, 6 represents the love of man. And it kind of went back to that place where God was like, hey, I created the most amazing thing on day 6.
Yeah.
Day 6 was awesome to me. In fact, day 6 was the final capstone of it. I created all this earth and all that stuff, but that wasn't the crowning achievement. The crowning achievement I made on day 6.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that the 2 greatest, like 2 of the greatest numbers, 6 and 13, the enemy has turned into this evil thing. And it's like, that's why the Bible says it's a number of man. Mm-hmm. It is a number of man, 666. It's the number of man. And John Finn actually has a great revelation on what the 666 means. Mm-hmm. But it's really like when God is outside, when you're away from God and you don't have a life in God, then the 6 is a bad number. Yeah. But so is life without God. It's a bad life. Mm-hmm. But with God, if God is in your life, the 6 means it's the best. Yeah. I think it's even better than 7. Because it's like, it represents intimacy. It's a number of intimacy. It's a number of like absolute closeness with God, sacrificial love, like in the face of God, like you can't get any closer. Yeah. And that's what 6 represented. And then the capstone on all of it for me is when I went to the store, because I went to the store yesterday, and then that's why I put one of the, God gave me this word about October being springtime in the spirit, and I was just like, what? This is awesome. But as I came back from the store, I park in the parking space, and this here is what the odometer read. Not only the odometer, but the mileage thing. I was just like, are you serious? And at that point, I was like, all right, that's it. We're pulling out all the stops. No fear here. We're pressing through the fear of what 666 could possibly mean, and we're going to figure out all that God is saying to us, right? Yeah. Yeah. So basically what I try to do is first of all, I just like pray. I say, Lord, give me direction, lead me, because, you can come up with all the numbers you want. But if you don't discern what God's saying, if you don't really feel like, okay, this is what I feel like God's saying through it, it's worthless. It's just a bunch of numbers that you're seeing all the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which can be the case when you're doing the numbers and God introduces you to the numbers. You have to discern what's really the Lord and what's really like ooh, I saw that number. Yeah. Ooh, I saw that number. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you can get caught up in it. Because it can be exciting. But the thing of it is, the exciting part about it is when it's God. Yeah. That's the exciting part. The numbers themselves and the repeating process and all that stuff. And I keep seeing all these numbers. That's not the exciting part. That's actually the frustrating part. It's when God makes it clear. That's when it becomes like a cool thing. So we were in the bedroom. Were we in the bedroom praying? Is that when I got this Isaiah 66? Or I think we were in the bedroom praying. Yeah. I don't remember when. Yeah, I think we were in the bedroom praying. And you were talking about something. I forget what it was. But I suddenly got oh my gosh, Isaiah 66.
Oh, it was, last night when we were praying and you were talking, I was talking about like the mystery heart of God. And
yeah, we were talking about that dark heart thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you just got up and you were like.
I just got up and left. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I was like, all right. You're like, keep praying. I was like, okay.
That's right. We were praying. That's what it was. We were praying. Little inside joke. Sorry. Anyway, I'm not even going to edit that out. So I immediately thought 66, and I was just like, we got to go to the Word, because that's what I always do with these things. I go to the Word. And I thought, like, how easy it would be to go to the Word, because there's not many chapter 66s or verse 66s that you could possibly do. But one of the most pivotal promises that I felt like God gave me regarding, like, the birthing process and the birth of the vision and everything that He said He was going to do in my life, like 15, 17 years ago.
Yeah.
Some of these promises are like 20 years old, like I put on my Facebook post. But it was Isaiah 66, 7 through 9. And I was like, oh, Isaiah 66, 7 through 9. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, that's not right. And I was like, all right, well, just let me see what Isaiah 66, 6 says, right? Well, and at first I went to Psalm 66, verse 6, and it talked about the crossover, how they crossed over on dry land, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Look at what it says, But the Lord was like, no, that's not what I gave you. I gave you Isaiah 66, you know. And I was just like, okay, but the birthing thing is 7 through 9. It's like, well, let's just see what Isaiah 66, 6 says. And it says, hark, listen, an uproar from the city, a voice from the temple, the voice of the Lord rendering recompense to his enemies. Now, why is that significant? Because we were expecting or hoping or maybe thinking, I guess we were hypothesizing, that we would hear the voice of the Lord yesterday. And why don't you go ahead, and because I'll probably give away some stuff.
well, for me, like, I was kind of hypothesizing.
She's totally a scientist of the Word of God and God's patterns, and she's crazy. She gets in there, she's got little spiritual test tubes and beakers and stuff going. I'm like, wow, you're amazing.
But the reason that we were really praying for and hoping for the voice of the Lord yesterday was because on Saturday, the 14th, I was feeling like, wow, it's really was all about love, and like it almost felt like God was giving us like this letter,
Well, because there was a pattern. There was this pattern of how we met.
Yeah.
And it seemed like God was following this pattern because the idea was like when the promise comes to pass, it's going to be like when you guys met and you started your journey to get married and all that.
Yeah. And so it just kind of felt like that. And I was also getting the number 29, but just a little bit, not like the 16 or the 13. So I kind of just left it alone for a while. But then in the evening, I saw the number 29 again. And I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. And so I went to Psalm 29, which is really all about the voice of the Lord. And it was kind of cool because they actually call it the Song of Thunder, because it's basically talking about like how God's voice is heard in the thunder and in the lightning and all of this stuff. And actually we had a storm that night. And so I was just like, wow, that's so cool. So it was just really cool because it really mirrors the pattern of what God did for us, like when we first met. And so it was actually on the 14th, and it was in June, not October, but it was still a Saturday, and Saturday was a Saturday. Yeah, Saturday was Saturday on the 14th. But no, so when we first met, I got an email, and so it was like this, kind of that similar idea of like, I felt
something just started.
Yeah, something just started.
Yeah.
And
something new.
And it was like, I felt that on Saturday with just how it was very much like a day filled with love and God's love and just him revealing all this stuff about it. And so I was like, whoa, it to me really felt like this email or this letter. Well, and then when
that was the first contact we had.
Yeah, that was the
email.
And then that Sunday
the 15th,
we set it up so we would just call and kind of confirm that, okay, what day are we going to meet and all of that.
And what was our conversation? Our conversation was really simple. Like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
I thought your voice would be different. You know?
It was.
And it's just like, well, I'm a face-to-face person. So I mean, let's not do too much talking. Let's just meet face-to-face.
Yeah, and so we just set it up. It was like, all right, we're going to meet after work and, you know, we'll go from there. And so yesterday I was very much like expecting God to come and share his voice with us.
You knew how that was going to happen.
I didn't know. I was just like, I really want to hear the voice of the Lord. Like, if this pattern is going to
fit, but if we don't hear the voice of the Lord,
then we know
like this pattern is not real. And it's like, well, and it's like, how's it going to be any different than what we always hear from the Lord? So it's just like so the 29 fit with the voice of the Lord
and honestly, guys, like yesterday, for me personally, like all day, I felt like I was in a weight room, like I was just
that weight room right there.
Yeah, going because it just there. I had this high expectation of like we're gonna hear something, and honestly, like I was thinking, ooh, maybe we'll hear something about like somehow going to Nashville, and somehow it's got the promise, because that's all we're really looking for.
That's what it was. So then when we finally ended up in the bedroom at night, you were kind of bummed.
I was.
And you were like, wow,
and I was just
we didn't hear
like,
anything today about
with the voice of the Lord, and it really. But at the same time, like it was like an all day of me fighting off doubt, fighting off fear, It was like I just had this tug. It really did feel like this tug on my heart all day.
A little bit of resistance,
long.
And you had to like keep pushing it off.
And it was literally all day. Like I just kept, I'd be like, all right, we're gonna pray, we're gonna do this.
What was the fear saying? The fear is like, see, you missed it.
Yeah.
God's
it's not
because
that was the thing we actually didn't get to share. Was that
on the 14th?
The night of the 14th, really going into the 15th, because it was like midnight or something, and we got this word. And well, it was actually Lana Vosser released her word, and we're just like, oh my gosh, this is for us. And it was just like,
about the faithful, and all that. That was at 2:30 in the morning, or something like that. It was at 2:00 in the morning or something.
So we just had, it was like, yes, like I'm like, okay, we're probably gonna hear something.
The significance of that word was profound.
Yeah, it really was.
It was the most resonating word we've ever heard from her, because so many things that she said resonates with so many of the pictures that God gave us, particularly about the banquet and the winds of acceleration lifting you up and setting you at the table where the banner and the feet. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like that's the vision we've been living off of we've done many videos about. And the banner over him is love for you and all that stuff, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, you know. And I was just like, okay, you know.
So it really was an all-day thing of just like, okay,
we got another email.
This was true. This was true. This was true. This is true.
Yeah.
And I even actually watched just a short thing, Patricia King.
Oh, Patricia King Live.
She was live, and I honestly only probably saw like maybe 4 or 5 minutes before being interrupted, and I just couldn't finish it. But she was just talking about, have you ever been attacked after you've gotten a promise?
And that was the 15th.
And that was on the 15th, and it was just like, oh my gosh, yes, that's been my whole day. And it was still like, even after that, it was just continuing, but I stood firm. Like even after hearing that word, like
from
it
Patricia?
wasn't like, it was just like, oh, I get it now, and there's no, it was still
there's
like,
a release.
Yeah,
I got it.
There was
like, nope,
just
you're not going to hear from God.
Keep pushing, keep going. And I don't think it really let up until we were praying at night. And
well, because what I didn't tell Michelle, which I should have, but I felt like while we were sitting there at the desk and she was kind of she was talking about the weight room and how she's having a hard time not surrendering to the bummerness of not hearing God's voice today or whatever. in some sort of special way.
Yeah.
The Lord said to me, because I was going to get online and do some stuff, and the Lord was like, don't do that right now. And I was like, okay. And I felt like the Lord was like, do you want to hear my voice? And I was like, I didn't really feel like, I didn't like the way it was presented, because it almost came across like angry. And it's like, there's this like, a lot of times there's this angry filter that this, even a word from the Lord that's genuinely a word from God, it kind of filters through. And so it can come across angry in my spirit as I'm, like Sean Bowles says, as I'm translating God, as I'm processing like what I'm hearing from the Lord. And I was just like, that sounds mean or angry or something, and I'm just like, I don't think that's the Lord. And so when we went into the bedroom, and you were talking about Psalm 29, and then I read Isaiah 66:6 that talked about the voice of the Lord. And I told her that, but then I talked to her about how it seemed to like go through this angry filter, and then I start talking about anger issues that I kind of deal with, and she knows well. But it's just like I've never been an angry person, and we just start talking about the angry thing, and I really felt like the Lord was like, okay, voice of the Lord, let's put that on hold. Let's focus on this anger thing. Mm-hmm. Let's deal with this anger, because this is definitely a thing. And then you kind of took over.
Yeah, and God was starting to give me just this sense of like, okay, like there is something He wants to do here.
Yeah.
And
it is big.
Yeah.
We didn't know it was going to be that big.
Yeah. But we were just praying, because actually at first Devin was just like, I think it's just me. Like, and I was like, well, we were talking about...
Because I was describing what it felt like to be just attacked.
Yeah, and so it was like...
angry thing.
Well, is it a spirit or is it you? Because, sometimes there are things within yourself that you've just repeated to yourself, and it's just you have to like rewire it. And that's what we were praying. I was like, well, Lord, just let us know, like, is this just a rewiring type of thing, or is this like a spiritual attack coming against Devin? And
the thing of it is, we figured it was a spiritual attack.
Yeah.
But the reason it had been working for so long is because it came into my life at a time where I had just left this church that I had been at for a long time, and it was a terrible leaving. On the outside, it didn't look that bad, but it really ripped a hole.
Yeah, literally.
It just ripped a hole in me, and I was really angry about it. I was super, super angry about it. Wrote a blog about it. I was very angry, and I just felt like the Lord showed me this vulture circling, and the vulture did not look anything like that. But he was getting a little irritated.
As I'm sure. Yeah.
And so the Lord showed me this vulture circling, and I felt like the Lord said that vulture has been circling since that time.
Yep.
And that was in spring of 2011. It's been circling, and every time I get stressed out, it swoops in and sneaks in and starts attacking me.
Yep.
And I always just think it's me. And it's very violent, very intense, very, very bad.
Yeah.
And it was because of that you thought, wait a minute, this doesn't sound like it's just you.
Yeah.
But for me, I didn't know it, because it snuck in during a time of trauma of my life.
Yeah.
And it's just been behind the scenes sniping at me since then.
Yeah. And that's really kind of what
stirring
God
up anger. And
what He was showing us was just
self-loathing.
Like,
He
was just kind of showing us just how much trauma really happened at that time, and we just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And but in that moment, God was just like, I want to heal this. Like, I want to heal this literal heart wound.
And she's crying.
Yeah, and I was crying.
You're like weeping.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, shouldn't I be weeping if I'm the person that needs the healing?
Yeah, but I cry, so.
Yeah. The drop of a Hallmark commercial.
Yeah. So true. But so we just really started praying a little bit, and then before that, though, because you were talking about, what's the peace? I forget how that
Oh
was.
yeah. The Lord, as she was describing, like, this is a spirit, and you've been attacked since you left the church, and but I'm not left the church, but I'm saying left this particular church experience that I'd been at for 8 years, and I put my whole heart in there, and then it just ends up get shot through, and then the Lord, as you're explaining, like, this is like a spirit attacking you, and we need to deal with this, and da 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 da. And I just felt like the Lord said, the final piece. That's what it was so clear. I'm just sitting there listening to her, and the Lord interrupted, by the way, and he was like, the final piece. It sounded almost just like that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the final piece? What do you mean? And then he repeated it again. He was like, the final piece. And then I was like, well, as you're talking, I feel like the Lord's saying the final piece. And you're like, you mean the PEACE or the PIECE?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the piece, like a piece of a puzzle,
Yeah. So we were talking about the piece, and
the final piece.
Devin was like, the final piece, but
I really felt like it was the final piece before.
Yeah.
I just stole your thunder.
No.
No, you're used to it. I know.
No, but the final piece before God can bring about what He wants to do in our life, fulfill the promise, basically.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I was like,
it's like we went through the final test.
Yeah.
And then we went through now we're hitting the final piece.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I felt that I was like, okay, yeah, it is the final piece, but I'm like, it's so that you have peace. And God, He's always used our family like as a tree, and there's this vision of this tree.
Yeah.
And He has these bands that He's placed around the tree.
Well, you saw in a vision.
Yeah, a vision.
5 gold bands around the tree.
And then
I think we talked about that in a different video.
Yeah.
But just in case we haven't.
But in case we haven't. So we have a tree that represents us, and there's 5 gold bands around our tree, and God had showed us that I saw that there was inscriptions on each of the bands, and
in Hebrew.
So
you're like, what does that mean?
I was like, I don't know what this means. But then God gave us some revelation, and so we knew what each of the bands meant. And
the last
one was the band of peace. And I felt like God was saying, it's like it was getting ratcheted in,
this last piece would go toward ratcheting in the peace for our family.
Yeah. And so it was just basically, though, then God spoke to you and said, the final piece is healing.
Yeah.
Which will lead to establish peace. P-E-A-C.
Yeah. Now, no, baby. How about that? He puked on me. Had to take care of it. So we were talking about peace.
Yeah. And so it was really, God was just sharing, like, okay, it really is the final piece for peace.
Yeah.
And then so we just started praying, and
this all fit into the whole 666 thing.
Yeah.
Because we felt like the Lord was saying that 666 can also be taken as a double portion of 333.
Yeah.
And it was just blessing and completeness or fullness of God, and just the manifest presence of God is on the 3 numbers. Anytime you get a 555 or 333, 222, that's God saying, my manifest presence is going to be on this. You're going to feel this. Whatever I'm going to do with whatever He's trying to speak to you through those numbers, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel the presence of God on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was just like, you're going to feel and then I just felt like, the voice of the Lord. And He says the voice of the Lord twice in Isaiah 66, rendering recompense to His enemies. So then that fits into like what you prayed and what happened,
Yeah, it was God basically.
So tell what happened.
So basically
when we start praying, because that's like the awesome part.
The really awesome part. So we're
37 minutes into the video, we got to the awesome part.
We were praying, and it was just like, as I was praying, I was praying in the Spirit, but then just praying over Devin's heart, and he was giving me pictures as I was praying. And so like
God was.
Yeah, God was.
I can't do that.
Yeah. God was giving me pictures, and some of them related to pictures that I have seen previously. And so there was the first picture was just that there was this like blue light, and it was just like really
heart.
of your heart.
Yeah.
And God showed me that a long time ago, and the blue representing just the joy, and but it had been like covered over, and like it was like encrusted basically, and it was like this. It really was almost like a metal liking. I mean, it was solid. But then when I saw it this time, I could see cracks all over it. And then it was just like God took this like final like hammer and everything just shattered.
Oh, you mean there was cracks in
like,
the crustiness on the blue ball?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Because I was thinking you were saying there were cracks in the blue ball.
No.
I was like, whoa, you didn't tell me that before. Wait a second. Hold on. That changes the vision completely. You know?
Not at all. No.
Make sure you put your comma at the right place of the sentence, people.
So then he just showed me. It was just like, boom, like really just, it was completely exposed.
That was like that whole idea of the final piece.
Yeah, like
bam,
boom,
that
and
final
then it just
hit, and everything
shatters and breaks apart.
And it's just nice and blue and bright and wonderful.
And then
like myself.
Yeah. And then I saw this picture. It was his heart, but it had a wound in it. And it was definitely very raw. Like if you've ever had a wound on your skin or anything it's just exposed, it's open. And I just could see like there's these
super like sensitive.
It's very sensitive, and there's just the enemy would come and just stab right at it.
See, now why is that significant? Let me interrupt because I never do that. But but why is that significant? Because I have for whatever reason these past several years, now we know the reason.
Yeah.
But I have been like super sensitive to stressful situations.
Yeah.
Super sensitive. And it's during those times when I get like the most angry and I just like, oh, I don't understand it. And then I start lashing out at the kids, or something like that. Not bad. I just overreact to things.
Yeah.
They're like doing kid stuff and I'm just ready to blow up. And it's like this has been going on for a couple years. And I'm just going like, what is going on? And it's like, I am doing my absolute best to change. Because, I didn't want my kids to grow up with, I grew up with the angry dad.
Yeah.
And it's just like this. And that's like, it's so confusing because I'm like, this is not even who I am.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
This has been like a couple years.
Yeah, and it was even something we've prayed about. You've prayed about a lot, and just like, okay, I'm keep working on this, and it really, there was at some point you had even said that God, like, you're pretty much the only one who can really take care of this, because like
I just felt like I was trying to shovel away a mountain.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a clearing here. Oh, let me shovel this mountain first.
Yeah.
Here, hand me my Fisher-Price shovel.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's what it felt like. I was like, there would be weeks where I felt like I'm making progress, but then like one real intense setback or something like that, and some stress, and oh gosh, and God's all the while working all in our lives and increasing us spiritually and growing us up, and it's like, but it's like there's certain moments where it's like, okay, this thing that you have, I will deal with it, but not right now.
Yeah.
But last night was okay, we need to deal with this.
Yeah.
The final piece. He's just in and out of the video today.
So this wound, I could just tell, like, it just kept getting stabbed over and over again. But then
stress was the stab.
Yeah. Well, stress was the stab, but it was just like...
Or was the enemy?
It was the enemy. The enemy was just coming, like, every time he saw this, like, time of vulnerability, which was usually when there was stress. And we've had a lot of stress, like, in these last few years.
Especially this year, this 2017, it's like major stress, but then major, like, breakthroughs and victories, too,
And so I just saw, like, every time, like, this poking at it. And, but then I saw the hand of God. It was the hand of God. He just went in and scooped it out, and it just left. And
the open wound.
The open wound. And then it was like, I saw him just put in its place peace. And it was kind of like you know, when you go to a dentist and they drill out the hole from where the cavity was and then they fill it in. But the difference was that, you know, usually when you have a filling, you can tell where the filling is. But in this case, it was just like it was completely, there was no seams. It was seamless. It was whole. And it was just like, God's like.
Was this the heart or the blue ball?
The heart.
The heart.
The heart.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was like, here's this, and it was actually a white color. The heart was white, and it was just like God placed peace into that spot and made it whole. And
a righteous heart, because that's what white means. Righteous heart. I did not know that until this moment.
Yeah,
live right here on this video. That's awesome.
And
that color is saying something about the heart too. Oh, well, thank you, Lord. You're amazing.
Yeah, and so but now your part.
So yeah, okay. So what I didn't tell her again, I hold off revelations, and she's like, "What? You didn't tell me that?"
But I think it really wasn't so much. It was in the moment.
Yeah, that's
so it was
true,
like as I'm praying and going along, because I didn't even share the pictures until after
later,
we were finished praying.
Well, when Michelle started praying, right away, as soon as she started praying, I got this vision of this. It's kind of like super like run-down, condemned, like house. And it had a living room and a dining room and a kitchen. Like it's all connected. Not like a studio apartment. It was definitely a house. And I was seeing it from almost like from the outside looking into it. And it was just the lights were out. The only lights that were coming in were from the windows and the different rooms. And there was in this, so there was a lot of darkness in there, but there was light too. And there was this, it seemed like it was like a 20-year-old person, but it was just all black figure. It wasn't even the shadow of a person or like what a person might look like in darkness. The whole person was dark. You couldn't see the form of a face. And they were sitting in this old beat up chair looking at a TV, but they were looking at a TV that wasn't on. Yeah. And it was weird. And you can just tell it was run down. It was terrible looking. Yeah. You know, it should be condemned. Yeah. A condemned building. And I could tell whoever this was, they were like a squatter, you know? How like, you know, young kids, there's a lot of 20-something people out there that are homeless. And they find places, they may break into a place that's like for sale that no one's ever there. Yeah. And they just hang out there for a little while. And so, and then all of a sudden, as Michelle started praying, I saw this earthquake happen all around this little living area that this person was in. And I was like, oh man, is this like a spirit? Do I have a spirit in me? Oh God, help me. And the Lord was like, no, just listen. You know? And because the thing didn't leave. It didn't like leave. It just stood up and it was like, whoa. What's going on? What's going on? You know? And then that was it. That was the end of the vision. And then I realized later on that hand scooping up that wound was the same. It was the same thing. It was the shaking, that earthquake. Yeah. You know, and it's just God's like, and I just really felt like I was reminded then of the Isaiah 66:6 about recompense, the voice of the Lord. You know, rendering recompense to his enemies. See, when the Lord comes to the righteous, he gives us reward and recompense. But to the enemies, it's just recompense, meaning this is what you owe. This is what this is what's due to you. Yeah. You know, and the Lord was like, you don't belong in this heart. Yeah. You're a squatter. You should not be here. And he was talking to that anger, to that wound and everything that it's done. And God just scooped it out, and he reminded me of that, like, this is the voice of the Lord through your prayers. This whole voice of the Lord thing that we're talking about, like, this is what it is. This is happening, like, right now. And I'm like, wow. And the temple, what is the temple? It's us. We are the temple of the Holy Spirit, believers. And God's like, this is my stuff. And I was reminded of Jesus when he went to the temple. And he saw all he was mad. He was angry. He was angry. Yeah. He was angry about anger being there in me, and just like he was like, you need to get out. And it's like you're not so much angry as your anger is a reaction to the fact that you were deeply, deeply hurt and wounded by this church experience. And God just scooped that up out. And then later on, you know, I was just like, I was like, wow, I literally just experienced a miracle.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I could do it. And it was, hear me out, people. It was a sign of what was to come.
Yeah.
Because I had tried everything to try to not be the angry person, but that intensity of that fire was still there. And I was like, there's nothing. If God does not come to me like he did to the woman with the issue of blood, or Jairus' daughter, or the leper, or the woman bent over with, if he doesn't come and reach out his hand and say, you're released from that, it's not going to happen. Yeah. I cannot do this. Mm-hmm. And God's like, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey man, you're released from this. Now, would that have happened had I not been obedient to the Spirit? No. Would that have happened had I just said, no, I just want to keep on going on with this thing, Lord, be quiet. We're trying to hear from you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, that's what we do with the Lord sometimes. We make a joke out of it, but it's like we do that to the Lord. We're like, no, Lord, we don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about this. Here, Lord, speak about this thing. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to control the Lord and what he's going to do in your life. And it's like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that was truly a miracle. And I mean, like, even as I'm saying this right now, I feel like God's like, that's a sign.
Yeah.
That is a sign of what's coming, what I'm getting ready to do. I'm getting ready to reach out my hand and touch your life and render to you a reward and a recompense that you just could not do on your own.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. And the cool thing is, now how does the 1047 relate to that?
Well, because we were basically all finished with this, praying through and peace and everything. And so the 1047 really related because it was pretty much, we had wrapped up, we were done, and we were kind of, we had some kid stuff last night, and so we were dealing with that, and I walked by and I looked at the computer and it said 1047, and I was just like, wow.
47 again?
Yeah.
No, I don't want another test.
Yeah. But I just felt like it was really like a triple confirmation of
the manifest presence of God.
Yeah, because he has this month on October 4th, he showed us the 10s and the 40s to just kind of confirm that he had sealed us. And then what was it? Well,
it was Thursday night, or it was the 14th, so that's Saturday night and then Sunday morning. You talking about the 10:10?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on Saturday night. I saw 10:10. It was a 10:10 p.m. and it just jumped out at me. That's how you know it's the Lord, And I was just like, wow. I was like, Lord. Right then, I just started talking to Michelle. I was like, there's something about this 10:10. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the Lord's like, giving us a little flash.
Yeah. And
then the next morning, when I looked at the clock, it was 10:10 again, and I was just like, what? And I'm like, 10:10 2 times, that's 40. Yeah. I'm like, it's like 2 times now. God's saying like.
Well, and then of course we talked about the final test, and that was he was showing us the 47s and all of this.
Yeah. In our previous video, yeah.
When I saw the 1047, it was like, okay, well, 10 is also like a number of just like completion.
Yep.
And 40 is
the
testing,
completion of a test.
And then a 7, it's also like. This is finished.
It's like perfectly complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was like, wow. It basically, to me, 1047 spoke of completion.
Yeah. It was the manifest presence of God last night that was on that, what he was doing.
Yeah. And so it was just really awesome.
But wait, there's more. Because as we were hashing out what had just happened, and we're sitting on the couch, and I'm going, babe, a miracle literally just happened. Mm-hmm. Like, this was a miracle. This was the equivalent of Jesus reaching out and touching my life.
Yeah.
And getting rid of this leprosy that I have that I really, really wish could be gone. Yeah. He literally just did that. Mm-hmm. And I was geeking out. But I was also very somber because I was like, but well, Lord, why is there still a grief in my heart?
Yeah.
And the Lord, through you, the Lord was like, well, that's a different healing,
Yeah.
I was like, this is not the healing and revealing that I thought it was. And besides, I don't feel completely healed in that area,
Yeah.
And God's like, well, that's something different.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, I wasn't bummed out. Trust me. After what happened to me, I was super, super happy. And God's given me plenty of evidences to show that, yes, I have really done this in your life. Because when you have kids, you have many opportunities to get angry. And And while we were sitting there talking, I felt like the Lord did this. He was super happy.
Yeah.
He was super excited. And he was like, we're going beyond. He was like, now we're going beyond. And I told you that right in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, wow, I feel like the Lord was telling me like we're going beyond. Like, what does that mean? And I just kind of got a feeling of it like now that final piece was taken care of, it's like we can go beyond this.
Yeah.
Now, and then I reminded her of Rick Joyner's. God told Rick Joyner that all of 2017 was going to be about to infinity and beyond.
Yeah.
Even Rick Joyner thought that was hilarious. She was like, "What? What do you mean?" And I just felt like the Lord was saying that to us now. It's like now it's time to we're going beyond.
Yeah.
Man. And I was like, okay, cool. And then so we woke up. I know this is a long video, but here's the part 2 of the video. I hope you guys are enjoying it. So today, on the 16th, I woke up. Because we wake up now and we're always looking for numbers.
Yeah, or we're just like, okay, God, what are you saying
is every day. It's like with God. It's like with God. It's like every day is like an Easter egg hunt of numbers.
Yeah.
It's like you have this one cool day that you do after church, and it's like, oh, it was so fun. With God, it's like every morning.
Yeah.
And it's like awesome. It's like okay, and it's like you are looking for them, but you're not actively seeking them.
Yeah.
It's just you're looking. It's like I'm expecting God to start speaking through a number here.
Yeah.
And He gave me the number 21. And I was like, 21. And then right away, He gave me the revelation. I felt like He said it's beyond expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that significant? Because the number 20 is the number of expectation. Mm-hmm. You're expecting something from God. Like if you get the number 29 and God's not talking to you about mountains or the voice of the Lord or something like that, it could mean 20 plus 9.
Yeah.
In a sense of God, you're expecting a birthing. You're expecting something new to be born into your life, which really, that actually happened. Mm-hmm. With the voice of the Lord, Psalm 29, and it birthed this new thing in me. It really healed me,
Yeah.
And so, and I just felt like the Lord reminded me of Ephesians 3:20. And He was saying, see, we're going beyond that. Because what's beyond Ephesians 3:21? Well, it's just the glory of God. It's like, to God be the glory in the church. Right? And I was like, but Lord, we haven't done Ephesians 3:20 yet. That part hasn't happened. Mm-hmm. And the Lord was like, don't you worry, buddy. Yeah. Don't you worry. Because I felt, and then the Lord gave me Psalm 21. And Psalm 21 just talks about, and see, the thing of it is, I've had Psalm 20 as a promise for a long time. Yeah. I'm talking 15, 16, 17 years. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. But it's been a long time, basically since 2000.
Yeah.
So that's 17 years. There you go. That was real simple math, Devin. Anyway. But I just it's a song. It's interesting because Psalm 20 is a psalm of expectation. Yeah. They're waiting to see if the Lord's going to do it. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the psalm it says, "Oh, now I know that the Lord saves His anointed. Now I know." But in Psalm 21, it's completely a psalm of, "Oh my gosh, it really happened. Here I am living in it. I got that promise long time ago when I was a yay-high little boy and no one in my family cared about me." David is talking, and he promised that I would be king over Israel, and now look, it's actually happened. That's Psalm 21. Yeah. And I felt like the Lord was giving me all this. It was like we're going beyond. Yeah. Beyond expectation. So Ephesians 3:20, 3:21 is beyond Ephesians 3:20. Psalm 21 is beyond Psalm 20. Yeah. And which it's beyond, I put on here, beyond the request, waiting, hoping, looking, longing for, hoping, expecting, but still having a hope deferred heart sickness. Yeah. God's like, we're getting ready to go beyond that. And then He reminded me of like, what did I say was coming next? What was the next step? It was desire fulfilled. Yeah. And then He reminded me of Jairus' daughter and Lazarus and me and Michelle's meeting. Yeah. Did you want to say something on that one?
Because when we did meet, it was like like the expectation exceeded far and above beyond really what we expected. You know, Devin was really coming into it. You were just like, I'm only
expectation.
I'm only
In fact,
going.
I had negative.
I'm only going because God told me to go, and I
expect zero to happen.
And I was excited, but I really wasn't sure because I had already had like a negative experience on the last time I had gone on a date.
Done the Match.com.
And so it was like, but I was kind of like this hopeful, like, oh, this could be good, and it really was. It was like the best.
It was way better than I thought because
ever.
When I went to YWAM, God was like, "You're gonna meet girls. You're gonna have sisters, Devin, and you're gonna just be able to just get to know them as much as you possibly can. It's gonna be amazing because none of them are gonna be your wife." I'm like, why you want to encourage me and then stab me real quick at the end? Like, come on, man. You know how much I want to be married?
Yeah.
And God's like, nope, but you're going to have sisters, so you're going to get to know how. And those relationships took a long time to develop. But I got to a place in a lot of those relationships that were like, wow, this is so awesome. What an amazing gift, right? And it's like with me and Michelle, when we first met, it was like right at that level, right away.
Yeah,
I mean, instantaneous. Like, oh my gosh, you're like my best friend.
You're like my long lost friend.
We were both like, we both felt that way. I mean, we talked for hours.
Yeah.
Had a terrible brownie at Barnes and Noble or Borders or whatever it was. It was the most worst brownie I've ever had.
I think they forgot the sugar or something for real.
They did. It was terrible.
But it was just this awesome, it just went above and beyond our expectations.
Well, and with Jairus' daughter, he just wanted to heal.
Yeah.
Get his daughter healed, but he got this resurrection from the dead.
Yeah.
In a time where he thought, okay, the promise is dead.
Yeah, and even Lazarus, the same thing was just like they were asking God to visit. And I think this is also why all of those are so important, is because it was like the visitation.
All of those are Jesus meeting with the heaven meeting with earth and creating this miraculous thing.
And so, with Lazarus, they were actually asking Jesus to come before he died, and he
shows up on the fourth day.
He shows up on the fourth day, but it goes above and beyond, because really, he was talking with Martha, and Martha's just like, yes, Lord, you can, he will be resurrected in the last day, and Jesus is like, oh no, I'm not talking about that. That's, for her, that expectation was like, all right, we will see him again someday, when we've all died. And Jesus is like, no, I'm talking about right now. I'm going to breathe life into him. And just like when we met, it was like God breathed life into the desire of so basically it went beyond our expectations, and we feel like that's really what God has been saying for us today.
It's like, you want me to do this thing, but I'm going to do this huge thing.
And
you're going to be like, wow.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, we're expecting that to happen today.
Yeah. So
it's if you follow our pattern, and if God's still working that pattern, we got the email where we emailed each other, and that was the 14th for us. And we talked to each other, so there was a hearing the voice. That was yesterday. And then on the 16th, we actually met up with each other. So we're expecting to meet up with something, that there's a visitation from the Lord that's going to come and breathe life into this thing that's going to cause our lives to never be the same again.
Yeah.
From that point on, it's just, that's it. And we're expecting that to happen today.
Yeah.
I mean, we're stepping out in faith, and we're saying, hey man, we're not saying this is going to happen, but we're looking for it. Yeah. We're expecting it. And God, what he's saying today is, I'm going beyond your expectations.
Yeah. With the 15th, though, I was putting my expectation on it, of like, okay, maybe there's this, maybe this is going to happen, and that would be the voice of the Lord, and he did something totally different, which actually goes back to with Lana Vosser. She said, it's not going to be what you expected, in the sense that
or
God,
it's not going to go the way you expect.
Yeah. And in the sense of not in the negative of like it's not going to happen, but it's going to be different. It's going to come out
bigger than what you expect.
And unfold
it's going to be
in ways that you weren't
because
expecting.
I think she was saying like you're expecting it not to work,
Yeah.
or you're expecting it to maybe fail, or you're expecting, and God's saying no, it's not going to go the way you expect. If that's what you're expecting, it's not going to go the way you expect.
It's not.
It's going to be way bigger.
Yeah.
But he could say that to Jairus' daughter and Lazarus.
Yeah.
And even me on the day that I came to meet you. It's like, it's not going to go the way you expect. Naturally, I'd be like, yeah, I know. See, I know that already. I'm already prepared in heart to have it not go the way I expect. And God's like, well, what you're expecting is failure and disappointment and letdown.
Yeah.
I'm telling you it's not going to go like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's going to be bigger than you expect.
And then we we saw on the clock, we just looked and both of us saw it. It was 11:11. And and it was just like
literally
whoa.
The first time we've seen 11:11 in different ways.
Yeah, but
that
that was
never on the clock.
And
before.
that was the first time, and we both noticed it.
Yeah, at the same, almost at the same time. I was like, "What?
Yeah,
it's 11:11."
Yeah,
this was right after worship time. Actually,
yeah,
it was like 11:11, and right away the Lord was like, "See, I'm going beyond," because He reminded me about the 10:10. I saw that 2 times in 12 hours.
Yeah.
And He was like, I am confirming that this thing is over and we are going beyond the finality of things.
Yeah.
Which is another number that 6 means. 6 means a final, a completion of things, Well,
Happy
you just
baby.
got to get your 2 cents in.
Yeah.
Anyway. And so, anyway, I hope you guys get something out of that, because there's a lot more that we could actually share, but we don't want this to turn into a 3.5-hour video.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. God did this amazing healing in my heart last night. He blessed my daughter on Thursday, and He's blessed me last night, and He just touched us, and just God's doing amazing things, and we really are expecting, starting today, that God's going to start doing some amazing things this week. Starting today, that the promise is being fulfilled. And He's having me starting to release words on Facebook. And I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be like copying all the other people that do this. And it's because it's looking a lot like it. And the Lord's like, just do it, man. It's like, what difference does it make? And it's like what you said. What did you say?
I was like, you're just emphasizing the word of God.
You're glorifying the word of God. And when she said that, I was like, wow, that's right. Once again, I got to get myself out of the way. And God, let you do whatever it is you want to do. So again, go to Facebook, like my Facebook page. You can get more interesting things that we do there that the Lord says that we don't release on YouTube. And we thank you guys for watching this. Hope you guys were blessed by it. We have a crazy whiny baby that probably needs to be fed or put to sleep, one or the other. And we just hope you guys are blessed by it. And
we'll
see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.